G'day avocado enthusiasts. Today I'm going to be answering a question that I get several times a week, and that is, how often should I prune my avocado tree? If you've been watching this channel for a while or have Googled how to prune avocado trees, you have likely seen my videos because I am an advocate for pruning young avocado trees. Well, why? There are a few reasons why I like to prune my young avocado trees. The main one is that it encourages more growth. When you remove the primary meristem, the primary meristem is the tip of a plant, and that's either at the top of a trunk or at the end of a branch, that makes a plant taller or longer. It's the part that does most of the growing to make something longer or taller. When you remove the primary meristem, the plant wants to produce more primary meristems, and so it will kind of go into this emergency mode where it will use lots of energy to produce new primary meristems, new growth, so that it can continue to grow. And that causes, well, more growth, which at the end of the day is beneficial for our plants. It also allows the secondary meristem, and that's the meristem that makes it wider. It's around the whole part of the trunk, it's along all of the branches. It allows it to get a bit of a head start. Instead of being tall and lanky, it can grow and fill out a bit more, which means that it has a sturdier trunk. Now, I have had lots of people ask me, after they've pruned their avocado tree and it grows back, do I need to prune it again? Now, I'm going to share my thoughts and what I do with this. Now, there are no hard and fast rules, generally, when we're keeping plants. So you can take my advice today or leave it. I'm going to share what I do. You can choose to take some of the advice, you can choose to take all of it, you can choose to take none of it. It'll be okay. So what do I do with my trees? So first, when I let my tree grow, and that's either from germinating in water and toothpicks or in soil or plastic bags and paper towel, and I've eventually put it into soil, I let it get to about 30 centimeters in height. Then I will prune it back to between 15 and 20 centimeters. After that, with my trees, I let them go. I don't touch them again until they will need it in a number of years' time, when I am looking to shape and I'm looking to maintain. And that hasn't happened with these ones behind me. These ones, the oldest one in here is about 2 years old. We're nowhere near that kind of thing. I'm talking about 10 years and older is when I will do the next prune on these trees. But does that mean you shouldn't prune them again? Well, pruning is a energy intense activity for a plant. It does stress it out, but it does mean that it grows more plant, more leaves and more branches. So it might be beneficial. Let me show you a tree which might benefit from some light pruning. This tree here is about 2 years old. It's very tall. You can't see the whole thing in this landscape angle, so you can see it when I stand up and show you the video now. But you can see it doesn't have a lot of leaf action going on for most of the trunk. At the end, it's got a great looking canopy, lots of leaves. It doesn't really have any branches. So this could benefit from an additional prune. I'm not going to, because I'm quite happy for it to get tall. It's got a really good solid trunk, which I'm really happy with. So I'm happy for it to keep getting taller. At some point, I might want it to start branching out, and I'll chop it at that point. But at the moment, I'm happy for it to keep getting taller. Why is it not putting any leaves up here? It's because it's growing in a grove. It's shaded. It's fighting really for sun, and so it's not beneficial to grow a lot of leaves in the shade. It is starting to grow new growth from the nodes along the stem, and some of those might turn into branches. So I'm quite happy to let this one go and to see what happens. I pruned it, you know, about 18 months ago here. And sometimes it'll branch out, sometimes it'll just produce another, what will become kind of the trunk, which is what it's done here. And it has continued to grow, but it's got a good solid trunk. And well, it's got some leaves at the top. So this tree could do with a prune. How would I do it? I probably wouldn't go really hard, but I would take a look at the primary meristem. Don't mind the leaves that got too hot during our heat wave. But I would twist off the top growth. That would remove the primary meristem without really affecting the rest of the tree, and that would encourage it to turn these nodes that have started to bud up into branches, which might be what you want. I am not fussed at this point about this one. I'm going to leave it, but that is something that you could choose to do. So When do you have to prune it again? You don't have to, but you can if you want. And it really is up to what you want your tree to do. If you're noticing that your tree is beautiful, it's bushing out, it has lots of leaves, it's branching, probably don't need to think about it at all. Even mine doesn't. It has plenty of leaves, it's not getting fairly tall, it doesn't have any branches, and even I am going to leave it. But if you're thinking, I'd like to see what I can do with this tree, feel free to experiment. One of the beauties of growing avocado trees is that, you know, these are grown from avocados that I've eaten, so they're very, very inexpensive, and they're a great way to start experimenting with plants, and finding out what they need and finding out how they respond to certain things. So if you have a handful of trees, why not prune some of them a second time and see what happens? You could prune in different spots just to try it. You might lose a tree or you might learn something, and I think that's a really important part of keeping plants. I'm not just going to leave these go forever. Some of these I will do some grafting onto, and some of them I will grow and then prune when they need it, but that is a video for another time. When they're much older, you occasionally want to prune them for shaping and also to thin it out so that the avocados that they eventually grow don't rot. And that's just a general fruit tree principle. You don't want them to be growing too densely, you don't want nice airflow, but that's not relevant with these ones. These ones are still a long time off flowering and eventually bearing fruit. And then when should you prune avocado trees? Well, I like to do it really early in the growing season or late in winter so that you have as much time during active growing periods as possible. So I like to prune mine in early spring. I like to repot them in early spring or even late winter to give them the best chance of continuing on. And I think we'll leave that there for today. So how often should you prune your avocado trees? Well, I like to do it once when they're very young and then not worry about it until they are really mature trees. But that's not the only way to do it. If you want to experiment, go for it. That's the beauty of keeping plants. There aren't really that many rules when it comes to this. Nobody's in charge, so feel free to take my advice or ignore it for today. So if you have any pruning success stories, I'd love to see them. Use the hashtag #ScottGrowsAnAvocadoTree on Instagram, and if you're a public profile, I will see it. I also invite you to check out my other channel, That's Pretty Cool, where I delve into all kinds of videos about topics that I find interesting and inspire in me a sense of curiosity and wonder. And we'll leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree.